Damascus steel might be one of the most misunderstood things in the knife world. Some people think it's a premium blade steel, other people think it's just a decorative and poor performing steel. And honestly, both of those can be true, or at least partially true. So today, we're going to look at what to look for when buying Damascus, what to avoid, and some of my favorite Damascus blades. So, what is Damascus? Real modern Damascus is pattern welded, meaning that layers of different steels are stacked and welded, then heated up and drawn out, twisted, and folded to form the billet that the blade is created from. Once that's been formed, the blade is usually dipped into acid to etch those different layers out and bring out the pattern that you see as Damascus. Now, if you want a good quick overview of that process, I'll have a link to a short from Blade HQ up here that shows that process that I really liked. But Damascus steel is used mostly for its attractive appearance, but with the right steels, it can also be a solid performer. So what should you look for in Damascus steel? I think there are two main things. And the first of those is provenance. And by that I mean you want to know where it came from. You don't just want to hear handmade or something like that. You want to know who made it. Is it a reputable bladesmith or a reputable company? And if the seller can't tell you who made the knife, that should be a huge red flag. Now, the second thing is the composition. So first, it should actually be pattern welded steel and not just a mono steel with a pattern etched on it. Ideally, you should be able to find out what steels were used to make the Damascus. Now, not every company discloses it, but the more transparency you can get, the better. And I like to use the term mystery Damascus. Mystery Damascus is another red flag, especially if it's not from a well-established brand. So the first example that I have here is actually one of those that I would consider what to avoid. Now, I ordered this one from Amazon, and it was the cheapest Damascus blade, and I use that term loosely, that I could find. Because I wanted to get a good example of what to avoid, and for $10, this didn't let me down there. So the listing for this actually called it Damascus Pattern D2, which should have been my first hint. And I'm trying to get a good angle on the Damascus, but as you can see, based on that description and the appearance of the pattern, this is most likely a pattern that was laser etched or just somehow screened onto the blade. And this is also just a very cheaply made knife. It has lots of blade play. The grind is absolutely terrible. I'm not sure if you can see that, especially up here. And the action is very sketchy. It's just not a well-made knife at all. But this is a really good example of what to avoid. So I'm not even going to do this the courtesy of tossing it away gently. We're just going to toss that right out. So what should you look for in a real Damascus knife? Well, the first one that I'm going to look at is the Kizer Whiskey Jack. And I kind of wanted to start with a fixed blade because I'm kind of a fixed blade guy, and I think it's really cool to start out with a fixed blade. So now this one is actually a little bit of an offender on one of my pet peeves that I talked about, and that is Kizer doesn't tell you what the component steels are in this one. And I even reached out to them and I never got a response, which is unfortunate. But in watching some other videos, Metal Complex actually mentioned during one of his reviews of a Kizer Damascus blade that they did confirm with him that it is a VG10 core steel, at least on the knife that he was looking at. And if you look at the back here, you can see there is a core here. So I'm going to proceed under the assumption that this is a VG10 core. I can't confirm that, but I think that's a fairly safe bet on this one. But even though that bugs me, I thought this was still a really cool knife. In part because you don't see decent Damascus in fixed blades that often. Usually a lot of your quality Damascus steels tend to come in folders for whatever reason. Now, the thing that I like about this one is this combines like kind of a pocket scalpel small blade design with a very classy gentlemanly design with the wood here. And with a blade of under 2.5 inches, this is going to be legal across the vast majority of the US. So that is my first example, the Kizer Whiskey Jack. Now next we're going to get into a folder, and this is actually the first Damascus knife that I ever bought, and that is the Civivi Qubit. Now this is a very, very thin, slicey blade, and it has aluminum scales, just a very slick design here. And the steels on this one are 9CR 18 MOV and 10CR 15 MOV. So you're getting approximately 440C and VG10 equivalent steels. So it's pretty solid steels that go into making this. Now that is not openly advertised on their site or anything like that, but Civivi has disclosed it several times in the Q&A sections of different knives. Now some of their newer models supposedly use a VG10 core and a Damascus laminate on the outside. But this is a great balance of price and quality, especially if you just want to try out Damascus, see how you like it, and if it's something you want to invest more in. And that is the Civivi Qubit. Next, we're going to move on to a knife that I really just bought mostly for the appearance, and that is the carved EDC Dark. Now, this is probably visually one of my favorites in my collection, and that's not just because it was a birthday gift from my wife, but you know, that is a good reason. Now, this one has a VG10 core, and that is openly advertised on their site. And then this actually also gives the cladding steels too. The Damascus cladding on this is 316L and 5CR 15 MOV. Now the EDC Dark is a knife that definitely has a focus on looks, as you can see with the wood burl and resin insert here. This is a knife that, again, is going to focus mostly on the looks. But with that VG10 core and the button lock, you're still getting a solid steel and a very fidgety action, and it should handle pretty much anything that you're going to want to put a folding knife through. Now the blade isn't the sliciest, and part of that is because it kind of bulges out, where you kind of see the change in the pattern here. It kind of bulges out, and it's not my favorite design, and I think it was done mainly for the appearance, but it just makes it a little less slicey and not as good as, you know, like a higher flat grind or something like that. But it's still plenty capable, and like I said, pretty much anything you're going to ask a knife to do, this should do it for you, and that is the carved EDC Dark. Now, next we're going to move on to, this is kind of interesting because it is my only option out of all of these that is not a stainless steel, and that is the Kershaw Leek. And this uses what is called Alabama Damascus. And that's both the name of the steel here and also the name of the company that makes it. Now, credit for the steel composition actually goes to Knife Center, as that's where I found it. They were the only place that I could find that listed all of the component steels. And they are 5160, 203E, 52-100, and 15N20, and all of those are carbon steel. So again, this is not a stainless steel knife. This is actually a carbon non-stainless steel knife. And because it's not stainless, you're going to have to do a little bit of extra maintenance on this blade. I recommend maintaining a light coating of a food-safe preservative like KPL Knife Shield, or even like a basic mineral oil if you want to use that. But you can see it has a very different look. It definitely gets a lot darker than a lot of the other options. And that's probably because the acid etching really darkened it quite a bit. And there are several different handle finishes as far as materials go. Now mine is stainless steel there, but they also have a black treated stainless and a carbon fiber that I have found. Now this one is also assisted opening, which means when you open it, it actually opens with the assistance of a spring, and this has a flipper, or it also has a thumb stud. And I'm usually more of a thumb stud person, but with this knife in particular, I actually think I prefer the flipper on this one. Now that's the kind of thing that some people like, some people don't. I generally am not a huge fan of assisted opening, but for this knife, I think it works. And one of the things that I didn't realize about this knife until I actually got it in hand is how thin it is too. So this makes a fantastic gentleman's knife as well. And that is the Kershaw Leek. And next we're going to go back to a fixed blade, and that is the Tenable Loki. Now, this is one that I actually just recently did a review of, and it is a little bit bigger than the Whiskey Jack, but it's still very EDC friendly. It's still under 3 inches, so legal in most places. And similar to the Civivi Qubit, the steels on this are 9CR 18 MOV and 10CR 15 MOV. So pretty solid steels that are going into this. Now, originally this came with PEI or Ultim scales, but I swapped those out with these black micarta scales just because I thought it looked a little bit classier. And I swapped the PEI Ultim scales over to the D2 version. And you can check out that swap at the link up here, and that will kind of show you what it looked like before and what it looks like now. No, but I just like the more subdued tone of this a little bit better. The Ultim was kind of loud. This just kind of lets the Damascus really be the star of the show on this one. Um, Now, the one cool thing about the PEI Ultim scales, though, is because they're clear, you could actually see the Damascus pattern on the handle of the knife too, and that was just really, really cool. But I definitely prefer this over all four scales. And this one, it's really one of my favorite ergonomic fixed blades that I've gotten recently, and that's in large part because it has this little harpoon swedge up here that's a great spot to rest your thumb. It has jimping here, and it's just a very, very comfortable knife in hand. So not only is this a beautiful looking knife, this is a great user as well. And at the price that it comes in at, which is about $90, you don't have to feel bad about using this just because it is a good looking knife. And that is the Tenable Loki. Now, last but not least, we're going to get into the knife that was a complete and utter splurge on my part, and that is the Benchmade 945 Mini Osborne. Now, this, again, was my spare no expense, letting myself really spend on something knife. And the steel here is Damasteel, which is arguably the gold standard when it comes to stainless Damascus in production knives. Now, some people might use the term Damasteel to just refer to Damascus in general, but that's incorrect. Damasteel is actually a brand name and a specific kind of steel. So the component steels for this are both powder metallurgy steel, so they are high-end steels, and they are RWL 34, which is approximately equivalent to CPM 154, and PMC 27, which is approximately a powder metallurgy version of 12C27. So with those, it really narrows the performance gap that you usually have to accept when you're opting for a Damascus steel over a mono steel. Now, they aren't ultra high-end steels like, say, Magna Cut or something like that, but they're still very solid performing steels in a beautiful looking Damascus blade. So this is essentially the super steel of Damascus steel. Now, as you'd expect with those component steels, Damasteel comes in at a very premium price point. My build here, which I had to special order this from Benchmade as part of their custom shop to get the Damasteel, and then I also ordered these scales, which are raw aluminum scales from Applied Weapons Tech. And with the knife that you originally ordered is $325 is what it would cost from the custom shop. And then these will be anywhere from, say, $65 to $75, depending on what kind of deal you get at the time and what shipping is for you. But total into this, you're going to look at about $400. Now, I didn't pay that personally because Benchmade has a first responder discount, so I got a decent chunk off of the price of the knife. But about $400 is what you're going to be looking at here. So this is definitely a pricey way to get into Damascus, but it is really, really awesome. And anybody who's ever watched the channel is probably aware that I'm critical of Benchmade's pricing, but being realistic, Damasteel usually goes for even more than that. Like, being able to get a Benchmade in Damasteel for $325 is actually a pretty good deal compared to what most Damasteel knives go for. Now, is this one that I'm going to recommend to everyone as an EDC knife or your only knife that you own? Probably not. But if you really want to splurge and get a great looking Damascus blade with that super steel pedigree, the custom order from Benchmade with Damasteel, I think, is a really, really good option and surprisingly a cost-effective one. So that is the Benchmade 945 Mini Osborne. So at the end of the day, I don't buy Damascus because I think it automatically makes a knife better, because performance-wise, it usually doesn't. I buy it because when it's done well, it looks absolutely awesome. And when it's paired with a genuinely good knife design, it can make that knife feel even more special. Now, my biggest advice, don't buy the pattern of Damascus alone. Buy the knife first and let the Damascus be the cherry on top. Look for companies that are transparent about what they're using and let the Damascus be the bonus. I'll have links for everything here in the pinned comment and the description. And if there's a Damascus blade that you love that I missed, make sure to let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this list and this coverage of Damascus, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video.